Welcome, friends, and thank you all for joining us. For those of you I don't know, I'm Randy Shapiro, co-chair of Partnership Together. It is my honor to welcome you to this event spotlighting Eshkol, a community located along Israel's border with Gaza and Egypt, and the sister city to the capital region. Jewish National Fund and the Jewish Federation of Northeastern New York are proud to partner on this event. These are unprecedented times, but we are so grateful for technology and for your participation here today. Please note all participants will be automatically muted for the duration of the program. Any questions for our speaker can be sent to Rena Wagman via chat. After Michal's talk, Rena will moderate Q&A as time allows. It is my pleasure to now introduce a true trailblazer and awe-inspiring woman, and I am privileged to be her personal friend. Michal is a pioneering community leader who, as head of Eshkol Community Centers, is responsible for the region's community program management and strategic initiatives. She's a dedicated bridge builder between the American Jewish community in Israel, having served as an Israeli emissary to the Jewish community in Denver, Colorado, and worked closely with Jewish National Fund, USA, on implementing its Blueprint Negev campaign while working for the Negev Development Authority. And she is passionate about her homeland and Southern Israel. Born and raised in the Negev, she returned to the region after completing her military service and lives there today with her husband and 3 children. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Michal Uziyahu. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy, and thank you all for joining me today, joining us. What time is it right now? It's 10 a.m. Okay, wonderful. So I would love to share my community story through also my personal story that I think really reflects well what the story of my community. I'm today 42 years old. I was born in 1977 in Sinai, actually. My generation, when we were born, our parents used to look at us and to say, oh, probably by the age of 18, they won't have to go to the army. And as we all know, they were wrong, and we all did go to the army. When I was 5 years old in 1982, Israel decided that peace is more important than anything else. And Israel disengaged from Sinai, and my parents had to rebuild their home. But since their Zionist spirit was still very strong till today, they decided just to move from one side of the border to the other side of the border. And today I live in Eshkol, just like what Randy said. Eshkol is a regional council of 32 communities along the border with Egypt and Sinai. Out of 65 kilometers of border with Gaza, Eshkol shares 40 kilometers. We have amazing communities, kibbutzim, moshavim, and this is where I used to grow up. When I was 20 years old, right after my army service, I met a nice kibbutznik that lived in one of the communities right next to us. And after 6 years of dating him, I forced him to marry me. He wouldn't propose otherwise. And we started to build a family. In 2004, my daughter Shira was born. And I remember becoming a young mother, and Israel was talking about the disengagement from Gaza, about removing the Jewish communities that we used to have in Gush Katif. And as someone that as a child, 5 years old, had to leave my home and rebuild, I knew how hard it was for my parents, but I really believed that disengaging from Gaza was the real right thing to do. I couldn't understand how can people raise their children in such a place like Gush Katif. How can you raise your children in harm's way? We used to hear about horrific terror attacks in Gush Katif and on a daily basis, and stories about young yeshiva buchers on Friday night, or mothers and children and elderly people. It was really tough. and I knew how hard it was. So I really felt that we were hugging the people of Gush Katif and inviting them to come home, and we knew that they will rebuild. There is no other way. This is the Jewish spirit. Despite all odds, we move on and we don't give up. I was really hoping for a different reality after the disengagement, because now I said to myself, I'm a young mother. This is a great moment, great future. No Jewish people live in Gaza, just poking them in the eye, just in the middle of the Palestinian cities. But the reality was different, because within weeks after the disengagement, uh, they burned everything that was left there. You Americans invested millions of dollars in greenhouses and infrastructure over there in Gaza, and everything was burned. And we woke up to a new reality. The reality of the 15 seconds, the reality of whenever someone decides to shoot a rocket from Gaza, we have 15 seconds to run for our lives. In 2006, just a few weeks after Gilad Shalit, the Israeli soldier, was kidnapped a few miles from where I live, in Eshkol. He was kidnapped in Eshkol. The Second Lebanon War started. One of my good friends lost one of his sons in the war in Lebanon. And I gave birth to two adorable babies, Ron and Omri, my two boys. I remember as I was looking at them in the hospital, and it's very tough to bring babies to the world during wartime. And I remember looking at them and realizing that I even don't have my parents' privilege of thinking that by the age of the 18 they won't have to go to the army. When I was looking on my babies, I realized that I'm going to raise two beautiful soldiers. But I understood that my role is to raise them to be the most humane and wonderful human beings, and still to be tough enough and strong enough to deal with the reality that we live in. Back then, in the days, I used to work in a wonderful place, a semi-governmental office that is called the Negev Development Authority. And as I was living there, working there, I used to see the work of Jewish National Fund in Israel. I used to see the projects in Beersheba and the projects in the Arava Valley. And whenever Russell Robinson, the CEO, the legendary CEO of the Jewish National Fund, would come to the Negev, everyone would stand still and go and tour and put together the strategic plan for the Negev. Jewish National Fund were part of the entire strategic plan. And it really was very impressive. I remember one day I got a phone call saying, hey, Michal, you remember the 2 million shekels that you were supposed to put in Mitzvah Ramon for a tourism project that I was in charge of? We are taking these 2 million shekels. And I said, no, you're not. And they said, yes, we are. We are going to put it in a project in Beersheba. And I said, no, you're not. They wanted to put it in a project next to gas stations. It's really a project that I had no belief in. And I was fighting against it. And in the end, they said, Michal, with all the respect, it's Russell Robinson. He wants us to invest in this project. And I said, with all the respect to Russell Robinson from United States, the other side of the ocean, he doesn't understand. And this project has no potential. But Russell Robinson and I'm only Michal Uziyahu, 35 years old in the Negev Development Authority. The project that the money was taken for is Abraham Well. If you know the place, it's in Beersheba. And if you know the place, you understand how right Russell was and how wrong I was, because this project was one of the game changers in the old city of Beersheba that really transformed the entire area. In 2011, after being a young mother, after experiencing many tough situations with my children, there was a one moment that the government built layers of cement above our children's kindergartens, and we ran and we painted it, and life felt really so normal, because when you were looking right and left, it was just people like me living their life. And I remember the first day I took the children to the boys to the nursery room. Two rockets fell on the other side of the road, and we just put the kids in the nursery room and moved to the rest of our days. And this was day by day. Whenever the siren goes off, 15 seconds, and we try to go back to normal, despite the fact that we had some really tough moments. I can share with you a moment that I'm standing in the middle of the street and next to my brother's house, and the siren goes off, and I have two and a half years old babies, and I need to grab them. I can't grab both of them and run to the shelter. My brother is running for his children, and I find myself standing in the middle of the street and screaming for someone to help me, because I can't choose one of them and run to the shelter without the other one. But in 2011, despite the fact that I really felt that my life is normal, I had the privilege of becoming the shlicha, the Israeli emissary, and I moved with the entire family to Colorado, the beautiful Colorado, as I always say, with the marvelous Rocky Mountains and the smell of beagle weed in the air, and it's beautiful. What can I say? Wonderful people, amazing Jewish community. I used to work for the Federation. I always say that I went there to Colorado as a proud Israeli, and I converted into being Jewish too over there. You guys gave me my Jewish identity in the United States with your beautiful Jewish culture that you created. And I remember in the first year, not even a year, the first Israel Memorial Days, I was putting the kids to bed. My son was telling me, he was only 5 years old, almost 6. And he said, Ima, the children in my class don't have to go to the army, right? And I said to him, that's right. And he said, but I will have to go to the army, right? And I said, that's right. And then he looked at me and said that I'm afraid to get hurt. And I couldn't promise him anything else. I looked at him and I said, you know, just like your great-grandparents and your grandparents and your parents, one day it will be your turn to defend Israel. And I realized that suddenly I gave him a bite of the forbidden fruit, the fruit of notion, of the fruit of knowledge, because suddenly my kids know that there is a different life. Suddenly the life that felt so normal in Eshkol, when I was looking right and left and I saw people like me, suddenly I understand that I'm surrounded with people like you that have normal life, and my life are not normal. And suddenly I realized that the people of Gush Katif, that I was looking at them and saying, how could you live in such harm's way? How could you raise your children in such a place? Suddenly I understand that I became the people of Gush Katif. In 2014, I had a master plan for summer. I was planning to take the kids to Israel, to leave them with their dad and the family, and to go back to Colorado to work and invest my 200% of my attention to the amazing work that the Jewish Federation was doing. And I found myself going back to the United States, and the second Lebanon, the big operation of 2014, Operation Protective Edge, started. It was tough times in Israel, specifically in the Gaza envelope, and specifically Eshkol. Out of 42,000 rockets shot toward Israel in general, 1/3 of all the rockets fell in Eshkol, specifically in Eshkol. And my kids were here and I was there. And one day my son calls me and say, Mom, you know, I was riding the bicycle today and the siren went off and I was 20 seconds away from the shelter. So I just laid on the ground with my hands on my head. And I couldn't understand how can an 8 years old back then kid can calculate 20 or 15 seconds run. And he said, but Mom, you know, I was strong. I wasn't afraid. I moved on. And my husband told me, Michal, you know, the kids need you. I think we are going to early our return back to Colorado. And I said, but Amir, you know, what is the message that we might give the kids? We might confuse them because we are returning to Israel next year. They might think that the United States is a refuge. And it's not a refuge. We are not citizens of the United States, and this is home. And he said, with all the respect to your supreme Zionist beliefs, the kids need you, and they did come back to Colorado. But the day they were about to board back to Colorado, my son asked Amir, Abba, next year when we go to Israel for good, if things goes wrong, will we go back to Colorado? And my husband looked at him and said, no. And my son looked back and said, good, go back home. And as much as we share this story so many times, it moves me every time again, but I was so proud to understand that I raised them well. And despite the fact that they know that there is another way of living your life, they choose this life, they choose this home. And it's wonderful. I was very proud of myself and of my children. And the following year, we did go back home. You know, during this big operation of 2014, seeing how generous you were, specifically in the United States, I was blown away. You raised so much funds for Israel. And I saw how many very important projects were supported, but I realized that my community didn't have any plans ahead. I was calling the mayor back then, Chaim Yalin, and I said to him, Chaim, you know, the American Jews are being so generous with us. What do you need? I want to help. We are fundraising here in Colorado. What do you need? And Chaim didn't know what to say. I was trying to help them to put plans together, but I realized that my community was living day by day, not planning ahead. And in 2015, when I returned back to Israel, I joined the partnership committee, and I made one phone call for an amazing friend, Russell Robinson, because he is a visionary. And I told him, Russell, my community needs you. And Russell came on March 2016, and he said to us, you know what? We are putting together a Gaza envelope task force. The whole concept of a task force is actually having lay leaders like you, not only being generous, but also wanting to work and work hard and put, all the force and traveling to Israel and sitting with us and planning. We're doing this with the partnership committee a lot, and we're doing this with the Gaza Envelope Task Force. The first project that the Gaza Envelope Task Force chose was the Resilience Center. And they realized that we don't have enough space for therapy that is sheltered. The needs were getting higher and higher for therapy. I will say a few words about the Resilience Center for a moment. I will pause here with my personal story. The Resilience Center is a concept that was created in Israel in 2008. And from the notion of understanding that if Israel wants communities to continue to grow and to thrive despite this, what we call emergency routine. Our life is not emergency and routine. It's not routine, obviously, as you all know, but it's an emergency routine. Emergency routine means that one day we can have 150 rockets, one day we can have only 50 rockets or 3 rockets. It can be fires. It can be sending a message saying, lockdown, there is a tunnel that was detected. It's the reality that you teach your children not to touch a balloon that you see outside or a kite because it might have an explosive attached to it. This is our day-to-day routine. And in order for allowing our communities to grow and to have quality of life, they need to teach us tools how to deal with day-to-day life. And Israel created several resilience centers along Gaza envelope communities. Each center belongs to a regional council, and Eshkol had a resilience center. They give therapy, they prepare leadership, and it's important. Remember this, I will address it later. Prepare the leadership to lead the community. Today, as a leader in the community, whenever they see that I might work intensively, too intensively, they will make sure that I have enough resources to deal with an emergency that might be around the corner. So the Resilience Center was giving lots of therapy, but we didn't have enough place. We started to move to group therapy because the demand was very high. And the first project that the Gaza Envelope Task Force decided to invest in was the Resilience Center. And I want to stop here because it's interesting, because also Northeastern New York Federation, Jewish Federation, was helping the Resilience Center during this time. So I'm so happy, and Rob is here. I see Rob. So I was saying before that I feel like we're having a family reunion, and my mother's side and my father's side are sitting together around the table, and this is amazing. Jewish National Fund is helping us today also with housing fund in order to grow our communities, and specifically taking the most challenging communities. I want to share with you that Kibbutz Kisufim, that is less than a mile from the border with Gaza, a community that was really struggling, was they wanted to expand, and the housing fund came, JNF, and said, we want to know what's your plan. And they said, we have 32 lots, but we will start only with 11. And they said, no, you have to go with the 32 lots. And just a week after they left, there was a huge tunnel that was detected right next to the new neighborhood. And the kibbutz member said, maybe you should update Jewish National Fund. Maybe they won't want to invest in the neighborhood. And when I was calling New York, they said, hell no, we are in the project. Don't worry, we are behind you. And today, already 8 houses are being built as we speak in Kibbutz Kisufim. So we're doing amazing things with the housing fund, with the water reservoirs, with the therapy center, with the resilience center. We're building an amazing indoor sheltered playground, the play school kingdom we are building with them, and it's being amazing. On the other hand, we have the amazing, wonderful federation that with you guys, we are thinking about soft project, about people-to-people project. Our teenagers were just last winter in Albany, and on the way back, they got stuck because of the snow in the airport, and they were doing an amazing Shabbat service that these kids, believe me, most of them never did Shabbat service, but they were leading Shabbat service after being with your children, and this is just amazing and mind-blowing. Now, I want to close with several remarks. I saw an amazing documentary. It's called Nation in Stress. I really recommend you to watch it. It's about you guys, America. And it talks about how your life expectancy is dropping in the last several years because more and more people are dying from overdose of opioids. And you have more people that die from weapons, not from homicide, but from committing suicide. And it talks about that the trends in the United States are not the same in the Hispanic American community. And when they were checking, so what's so different, they were talking about 2 key elements: community support and community cohesion. Now, I want you to understand what we are doing with the Resilience Center. The experience that unfortunately we would love to not to have this experience, but the experience that we have here is constantly the understanding that if we want to overcome emergency, we have to be with each other. We have to feel that we are not alone. Think about the last time that you felt you are so stressed. If it's in a car accident or disease or a loss of a dear friend, the first thing that you feel when you are stressed, you feel that you are alone. But when you look right and left, when someone constantly reminds you that you are not alone, you have a friend, you have someone that really cares for you, you are much more resilient and strong. Now, I want to share with you the last story, almost last story, maybe two last stories. No, last November, 4 a.m., I get a phone call and I'm saying someone on the other side is telling me, Michal, something happened in Gaza. We have to immediately evacuate. We had 60 ninth graders. By the way, some of them are the ninth graders that came to Albany a little bit later in the year. Immediate evacuation. We have children, 69 ninth graders that were planning to do a big festival for the entire teenagers. 600 teenagers were supposed to celebrate the youth movement annual event, and we had to evacuate them within 35 minutes. I think they were all back home. It was almost 5 a.m. At 6:30 a.m., I get a phone call from Jewish National Fund saying, what do you need? How can we help? Several hours later, we were emailing, and I think it was with Rob and Randy, and saying that we are okay, and we were sharing pictures and the story. And this moment is a moment that really captures what does it mean, community support and community cohesion. Community support and community cohesion is not only what we are doing here in Eshkol. It's the people that we are constantly working on. It's about reminding us that we are not alone in this situation. It's about calling Rob and him not understanding why am I calling and asking, are you okay over there in Albany? We heard that the coronavirus is so bad, and he is saying, we're not doing bad. We here in Israel, it's terrible. This is all about community support and reminding us that we're one people. You know, Jabotinsky, one of the founding fathers of the Zionism, said that what really kept us as a people along these thousands of years, it's not the religion, it's not the faith, it's the sense of togetherness, it's the sense of that we are one people, and we kept taking care of each other during these entire years. Yes, we are fighting against each other. We have Democrats and Republicans, we have right wings and left wings. We have Ashkenazi and Sephardic, and yes, the Sephardic has much better food, but we fight with each other. And as I always say, my family sits around the table and we scream on each other, and then we ask what's for dessert and who makes coffee. And I think that this is what's so special about what we're doing here. And I also want to say that it's not something that we can take for granted. The Jewish Federation of Northeastern New York and Jewish National Fund, two of our good friends are doing this Zoom call together. So I'm grateful and toda rabba. And I would love to open it for questions and discussion.
Thank you, Michal. So I received a couple of questions. Unfortunately, a couple about your internet. It wasn't this bad when we rehearsed. I didn't want to interrupt you because we could still hear you, but you're a little staticky all the way over there across the ocean. But if anyone has any other questions, please send them my way via the chat. But I wanted to start with kind of a two-part question. First of all, can you tell us a little bit about what's happening with Corona near you and how it's affecting your family, and what the Resilience Center is doing, and any advice you have for us about how to be resilient during this time?
Okay, great question. I will try not to make it a long answer, but it's important. It's really an important thing. The way our community went through the coronavirus from we stopped everything on March 15 and won't say complete lockdown, but it evolved. But we went through this tough coronavirus emergency in an amazing way. I have to say that I might even look at it as a gift for the community, because thanks to the tools that we were taught, thanks to the preparedness that we are having here, we really went through this and we became even stronger than the way that we entered this. one of the most important things in emergencies is to be prepared. Even they teach us as a manager for more than 100 people of my staff, I need even to have a speech for if we have a meltdown here, I need to have a prepared speech, because when you're in emergency, it will be very hard for you to function. You need to prepare things in your head. You need to remind yourself constantly the basics, like remembering that to ask for help, and if even I have to say, you know what, it's a great practice for you. We say that in emergency, think about it. When you collapse in emergency, usually don't think about security emergency. Think about the last time that you had a meltdown, okay? When you were really, really stressed. So the most important thing is the thing that really bring you to the edge is the little things. It's being hungry, okay? It's being tired. It's about someone that said something that really insulted you. And it's also the little things that can really bring up your resources. As much as you have more resources, you can handle emergency in a better way. Just think about, if you want to run a marathon, you need to go to the gym and practice on your muscles. If you want to go through an emergency, you need to have high resources. And what are the things that gives us resources? Think about yourself. For me, it can be carbs. Okay, I love bread. It can be a specific song that I love to hear. It can be working in my garden. So knowing that these are the little things that really help me to go through an emergency, I know today that whenever I'm just before I'm on the edge, I will take something, a good piece of carb, and put it in my mouth. Or I will put a specific song that I know that really gives me so much strength to go through a tough moment. So this is the little techniques that really help us to go through, but it's also the understanding that if we want to go through this, we have to do it together. Just before Pesach, we made phone calls to each and every member of the community and asked, how are you dealing with this situation? How are you planning to celebrate Pesach? Do you want me to help you to celebrate Pesach? In Yom HaAtzmaut, in Yom HaShoah, the Holocaust Memorial Day, we gave a flower for each and every Holocaust survivor. Or we gave something for each and every family that lost a family member in the Israeli independence war or different operation, in the Israeli Memorial Day. It's about looking and making sure that every person in our community feels that we can see them. And it's so important to call volunteers, that call the elderly people and ask how are they doing. And we had kits that we gave each and every elderly person to have some. We're now doing some sport activities inside the community only for the elderly people, just for them to work out and to remember that, okay, we need to stay in small capsules, but we are with you and we're thinking about it. It's not even what you are doing, it's the fact that you want to do something. And it's the fact that everyone feels that the community is wrapping itself around you. So our community went through this emergency in an amazing way. And I have to say that if we didn't have the resilience center tools, the support, I'm not sure that we would go through the way that we did. Gadi Yarkoni, the mayor of Eshkol, is always saying that life on the border with Gaza is 99% heaven and 1% hell. And it really feels that the last several months, we really felt that we are one of the safest places in Israel. And we really embrace it. We are grateful for what we have despite all the challenges, and it's important.
Thank you. And I think we have time just for one more question. Someone asked if you could tell us a little bit more about the play school that's being built in Eshkol and any new projects up the pipeline in your community.
Okay. Thank you. So the play school, the play school kingdom is, as I said, it's an amazing compound that can really bring the community together. It has a makerspace in it. I will say a few words about makerspace in a moment. It has a virtual reality room. It has a MasterChef a workshop in it, and it has robotics and really different interesting platforms. But the bottom line is a place that is sheltered and will give our children a safe place to play and to feel children, normal children. But more than that, it's an amazing place for the community to get together. A maker space, for instance, is a place with 3D printers and laser, and you can see in a maker space someone that is senior citizen that maybe has is a handy person, and you can see a child that is more electronic and technologic, and you can see them both creating things together. Being active, feeling that you have capability of doing things is an amazing thing. Creating things together. Try to think, when was the last time that you felt that you're really, really meaningful? You feel meaningful not by walking to the cinema or playing a game. You feel meaningful when you give something from yourself to others. And this amazing playground, indoor playground, is going to be an amazing celebration of doing things together and creating and enriching ourselves. So this is about the Play School Kingdom. We're still thinking with the Data Envelope Task Force about a new project. We have the water reservoir that is more into economic and helping economically. But we are planning, and we don't have something specific, and I don't want to promise something still is, but we have different resiliency projects of parents and children that we're doing together, and with the Federation, we're doing now an amazing project of also Chevruta, of Bet Midrash together, and with youth at risk. So we constantly think, but you know what? I would love, after the coronavirus, I have a request. You know what? Please, after this coronavirus is behind us, come and visit us and meet with us. We have amazing delegations of, I hope, the October delegation of Jewish National Fund. And I know that Randy is planning to come on the first plane over here. So we would love to think with you and to introduce you to things. One of the things that the Data Envelope Task Force helped us was to plan, to dream. In the beginning, we were thinking small. Maybe we can have a playroom, and you guys helped us to raise our head and look for the future. They said, we have Blueprint Negev. We want more people to come and live here. We want good quality of life. People will come for a good quality of life, and we are here to do it with you. There is something so strong. It is this concept of doing things together and dreaming together. And the fact that you don't live here in our day-to-day, but you care so much and you come with a fresh perspective means so much. So I really invite you to come and to think together with us about the next things.
Thank you so much again, Michal, and I'll turn it over to Ken to close and also tell us how we can come visit you virtually before the corona is over. It's not the same, but
we're planning for the virtual trip. Nachon, kol hakavod.
Michal, you are absolutely incredible. Every time I visit you in the Eshkol region, I get more inspired by you and your neighbors. I'm going to take, 2 minutes to deviate from my closing remarks. If you'll recall, about a year or so ago, probably more than that, when Kibbutz Erez had their groundbreaking for their community. And there was a dedication, and the housing minister was there, and I was asked to speak on behalf of JNF. And after the speech, a woman came up to me who was probably in her 30s, and she said, I want to thank you because I felt guilty leaving the region, and I felt guilty leaving Erez because that's where my family is, but I am coming back now. And she says, as a pioneer, because she was going to live on the community. And this just brought it home how everybody that lives down there, they're real pioneers. They're people that inspire us all. Your remarks today allowed us to understand the life, your life, the good and that 1% bad. We are honored that you made time to speak with our Capital Region community this morning. Afternoon, so it's almost evening for you. My name is Ken Siegel. Over 25 years ago, I was honored to be campaign chair and president of the Federation. And more recently, I had the privilege of chairing our endowment. Today, I'm presently a member of the JNF National Board and hold the board position of Vice President of Communities and Regions. I am also a member of JNF's Capital Region Board, the Miami Regional Board, and I'm a member of the World Chairman Council and King Solomon Societies. Thank you all again for joining us this morning, and thank you for the Jewish Federation for partnering with JNF on this event. Okay, it's time now to pack your bags. We are traveling to Israel on a JNF mission via our own living room, or den, as the case might be. JNF already ran a successful virtual mission to Israel for people that live here in the Capital Region 2 weeks ago. And we are excited now to partner with Federation on a special virtual mission with a focus on Eshkol. And of course, we're going to see some other sites in Israel. The mission starts Monday, July 6th at 11 a.m. for 4 glorious days in Israel. We will be led through Israel by a professional Israeli guide who will be joining us from Israel, as well as partnering from Eshkol, as well as our partners from Eshkol. Each day, after an hour of touring, we will take a break. We then regroup at 12:15 and talk about the day's travels. This is a unique and very exciting way to see Israel, and most importantly, to support the tour guides who are out of work due to the current situation. For more information and to sign up, please contact Rena at rwagman@jnf.org. You can see all information about this special opportunity on your screens right now. Thank you. This concludes our program, and I hope to see you in person at a future event and real soon in Israel when it's safe to do so.